George Durkee, Geography 66 web maps, and specifically story maps in these sessions. And in the last lesson, you'll remember we learned how to create a GPX track file and bring it into the new version of ArcGIS Online, and then started preparing our web map that will turn into a web app, and then uh, bring into Experience Builder to create a story map, a tour story map. So in this video, we'll do a couple more steps to get our web map ready, and then we'll bring it into Experience Builder. So let's start building the web map that will eventually become our app. And let's remove this layer. We don't need that anymore. And we'll just go back to our single shapefile track line. So now let's add our photo feature layer. And we go down here, if you remember when we did it, and here it is. And add to new map. The problem here is that I didn't set an extent for it. So I've zoomed in, and that's just a reminder, set your extent. It makes your life easier. Now let's save the map, and we'll give it a new name here. We'll call it, and make sure we save it in our folder here. There we go. And save. Okay, I realized that was a long and clunky process, but unfortunately, that's the only workflow I could come up with such that you could put a GPS track and your photos onto eventually a story map. Now, as another side note here, if you're just using the map, and right now, remember, we're in the web map stage. If you're just using your web map, either for your personal reference or to pass out to a few friends, this is pretty good here. You'll notice if I click on one of these points here, I get the photo. And then from this, you can use Instant App and also make a little more user-friendly app for people to look at. But for the purposes of our assignment, we're doing story maps. So let's set this web map up such that it makes a fairly good map for a story map. So let's change the base map. And let's use the image hybrid, which has place names as well as satellite imagery. And let's work on our symbology a little bit. Back to layers, and let's work on the symbology for the point layer. Now, I've already downloaded, if you remember, I showed you guys how to download your own icons off of the internet, or if you have something of your own. So we're right now, those orange balls are in basic shapes, but let's go up to uploaded symbols. And I happen to have a little camera icon here. So let's use that. And let's make the size a little bigger here. Maybe too big. And then done with that. And now let's change the symbology of the line and back into style options. And let's do it as a dashed line to show a little bigger. Try a 4. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, done and done. Okay, let's save. And let's center it to where we want it in the app. So this is as it will eventually appear in our web app when we create it, and we'll do that now. Before we open Experience Builder and start building our map, we want to make a couple of changes to the photo feature layer. One of the advantages of a map tour is that there's information attached to the photo that tells you more about what it is you're seeing. So for this workflow, we'll add that directly to uh, the photo feature layer itself. So we want to see the properties and then the information, and that'll take us directly to the overview page. And of course, you can also do that from your contents folder, but that just makes sure that you go to the feature layer that's actually in your map. If you have a whole bunch of feature layers because you're experimenting, you may not find the right one. Then we go to data. And so that's all that comes with the native photo, just the object ID, which is the default for the file itself, 1234 for 4 photographs. So what we want to do here is we want to add a field. So let's add a string field and call it labels. Could be information, but let's go with labels. And it's a string, meaning a text, and it doesn't have a default value. And now we add that. And if you want more information in the photo and how it shows when you bring it up in the story map, you can add more fields. But let's just do that for the moment. And now we go back to the table itself. And notice we have labels here. And if you double click, you can edit, you can add information. Now I've looked at each photo ahead of time and you'd have to do the same thing. So we'll call this first one library tree. And then double click in the next column and then it's Ponderosa sign. We have 256 characters here, so entry, it's the entry to the building, which has a big sign. And then finally, Maple Child Development. And that's it. And also, I'll just add, for those of you doing just a quick assignment, don't worry about this particular step. It's just adding one more step, but I want you to see how it's done. So back to overview. Now I thought that after filling in the label field that it would automatically update onto our map, but unfortunately it didn't seem to, and I don't know why that is, but in any event, so I had to reload the points, the photo point layer, and when I did that, and then re-symbolize it, and when I did that, you can see that under the labels field comes up in Maple Child Development, for instance. So just to review, I removed and then added it again, and the labels showed up fine. Now onward to creating our story map off Create App, or we could also do it from the 3x3 dots here and choose Experience Builder directly, or any of the other story map builders. So we're going to choose Experience Builder. And incidentally, here's the same data as I put it together in Instant App and using the attachment viewer template for Instant App. And it works pretty good. You've got the lines and the photo points and the large picture comes up next to it. The disadvantage is that you can't easily put in text describing the photos. So we're already in our web map. So let's just go ahead and create an app from there. Start Experience Builder. And we'll just use blank full screen as our template. So you can just click on the preview button here and get an idea of what the template will look like. And I'd encourage you to open at least a few of them to see how they present. So we're just going with the blank full screen here, which also allows us the greater customization. We can just add anything we want. So create, and notice how that automatically inserts our map here Normally, if you started it from absolute scratch using the 3 by 3 dots in your upper right, you'd haul in map and then choose a map, choose your map for data. And I'll just do that real quick to show you what happens there. So the default shade map comes up, and then you go to select map, and then you add new data and find your map and add it. But we already have it there, so we'll delete that. Also, you can have several maps, create new pages and add several maps. And over on the left here, you have your plus sign to insert widgets here in your main column. You have what you have your index here, which shows what's on there already. So we have within the body, we have a map, and then you can add data from this one. Here you can add utilities, and here you choose your theme, which we won't do quite yet. Let's go back to our widget gallery. Let's move the map a little bit, make it a little bigger here. Now I'm following the step-by-step given in the YouTube video by another person that shows in the bottom of your screen here. So if there's confusion in how I do it, between the two of us, you should be able to figure this out. So next, let's add a column, and you scroll way down here, and that will act to hold widgets within it. So here's the column widget. You just drag it in, and you can place it anywhere you want. We can move it anywhere later as well. And to that, we'll want to add a list, which will be our list of photographs. We'll scroll up. There's an awful lot of widgets here, so you just kind of have to figure out where things are. And we put that within the column, which holds it in place. Now notice I've pulled it down to give us 4 photographs, and that's the number we have. You can pull it down and have it automatically filled with all of your data. But as I said, we just have 4, so we're good there. And over here on the right are our content controls, so we can give that orientation, so we can change it to left to right or anything else. But I like the vertical list there for this particular number of photos. But if we had a lot of photos, you might want to make a double column that goes all the way down. Now, the cool thing about Experience Builder is it allows you to have one widget type act on another. You define an action for it. So when you click on a photograph, you can have it zoom in on the specific location of that photograph, for instance. You can also get pretty fancy, as is shown in one of the week 4 videos, where if you zoom in on a cluster of data, that data will then be reflected in the list view that shows up wherever you've put your list. So to start establishing that relationship, we start, and then we go to select data, which is the data we want to populate our list. And for the map, we already have our 2 data types in there. We have our GPX line, and then we have our campus photographs. And so that's the one we'll choose. Now let's actually go to our page index and where we are. So right now we're in list, and you can see that as I hover over each one, the image right now, the text at the upper right where it says double, and text where it's lorem ipsum dolor sit, in my great Latin accent. So go ahead and click on the image, and we'll choose dynamic because we want to link between that and our data set, which is our photos, and choose attachment. and set link and OK. And our photos appear. And so we want to go back here and extend this just a bit to get all 4 of them in. And while we're here thinking about it, let's add a title. Let's call it Campus Tour. And let's save what we have so far. And incidentally, be sure to, when you get everything as you want it, be sure to save. Because if you mess up with all the widgets and tools and stuff here and get totally lost, you can Control Z to go back, and you can also use the undo arrow there. But it's good to have saved each time you're at a point you're happy with. So we've populated the images here from our photo data set, and now we'll populate and link to our labels with this text box here. So for that, we go to dynamic text and we choose labels. And there we go. It automatically fills in all of the images that we identified as labels. And you can also, if you click on the column, you can increase or decrease the size. So if it happens to show in 2 lines, you can increase the size of the column so that it shows in 1 line. Adjust the column for the size of the map right now. And you go back and forth on this. And next, read a couple of action links so that clicking on one of the photos will zoom in to the point that it's attached to. So for that, let's go over to action and we'll add a trigger, and that's defines what you do to make that all happen. And record the change. We want it to work on the map. So when we click here, it'll work on the map here, and we want it to zoom to, and then we want to add an action, and again on the map, and we want it to flash. So it'll zoom in on the image and then flash to show you where that is. And the other nice thing about Experience Builder is you can test it as you go. You just go up here to Live View, and it'll turn it over to a live view. So let's see if we did it right. Look at that. Okay, we don't have the zoom level right, but that's fine. I'll show you how to fix that. And so notice every time I click, it moves the map around. So to fix that, we go back to our action and we click on Zoom, and we want a custom zoom scale. So that's pretty far out. So let's put it, you can experiment here and see what you like, but put it at 400. And now let's see. There, that's better. And now we go point to point. Okay. So now let's add one more widget, and then we'll kind of finish up here. So before you do anything else, you have to go out of live view, and quite often when you need to carry out a change in tools or action, you have to go out of live view. So if something isn't working, that's probably the problem. And let's save, of course. Okay, to widgets, and scroll down, and let's choose image. Let's put that in here. You'll want to rearrange stuff here, but let's stick with that for the moment. I want to make that a dynamic link and link it to the photos in our photo list. And for that, we want to connect to data, but you can also just select a single image if you want to put in one image or something like that. So we connect to data, we select the data, and go to the drop down, and we select our photos, and we want it to be dynamic, and once again attachment, and there we go. And now to test it out, let's go to live, And so that's all working there. Take it on a live view. Doesn't seem to be flashing. Maybe I don't have it connected here. Yeah, that's probably it. So let's close out of that. Now notice we have double click here, which we don't really want. We can just add text there. We can call it campus tour, and then that'll change for all of them. And once again, we'll have that. We're okay there. But you see where you can also connect it to data either on your photo fields or even another data type you have that's relevant. So you might have a URL where you can link to something with more information that a person might be interested in, and also you can add other image stuff down here as it does in the video I referenced below, where you can put in a YouTube video or something like that. And so I test early and often to make sure I'm on the right track and don't have to go back. So once more into live view, let's click on it. Sometimes it takes a while to load there. So notice we're getting both the blank and the accompanying photo. And you can size the map, fool around to make the photo bigger, but once again, we're just showing the sequence here. So there you go. That's the basics of setting it up. And now you can just add some assorted little widgets, toolbars, and things like that. So let's take it out of live view. I'm only going to add one or two widgets here just to give you an idea of what we could have. But one that you do want, if you want to get this map out to friends, is the share widget. And we can put that up here. And now, every time you bring in a widget, notice that it activates the toolbar on the right, which allows you to modify. And in this case, it allows us to change the style and or sort of how it looks on the screen. And you can check or uncheck the various social media it can connect to. And you can modify the icon. Depending on what kind of icon you think best shows a share, try that one. Yeah, why not? And then from there, you can modify the size a little better and the color of the fill. So we could go to a dark blue. And then the other tab here is style. And from here, you can obviously change position, give it a background, I don't know, white or no background. Anyway, all aesthetic choices, and you guys can figure all that out. And the icon, the widgets are the same as we looked at in week one, with the addition of a few more. And this is what I mean about an advantage of Experience Builder giving you a lot more control over what goes on your story map or page. You can add menus, put in sidebars, et cetera, et cetera. Go through those and maybe even add them and just see what they do on a page, or even add a blank page. And so here you can add another page, and you can choose a link or a folder here if you want to add that. And then you can put in widgets to go between pages, or a menu which shows you the pages you can go between. And if you click on the page itself, you can start working on uh, various style options here. You can put in a header on it, and notice how that automatically pushes down your image and map and so on. And you can fill that in. I've already filled it in. What you need to do is drag text into that, and I title it Campus Walk. and that needs centering and so on. But just gives you another option here. But anyway, the whole point of this lesson is to show you how to get a GPS track into the new viewer and also then into Experience Builder, and to show you how to use Experience Builder to have one feature act on another. So that's obviously when we saw our photos act on the map and zoom in and so on and so forth. And so for the assignment itself, this is good right here. And even if you do it just within Instant App, that would be fine. Again, I just want you folks to learn the main part of the workflow for a GPS to shapefile. But for more advanced students, it's really a good thing to learn how to use Experience Builder. Okay, I think that'll do it, and thanks.